By now, you are probably familiar with the changes made to the outpatient office visit evaluation and management codes. But are you aware that the guidelines have also changed for other settings in 2023? This video will provide an update for what is now required for evaluation and management services outside of 99201 through 99215. The code sets and settings affected by the changes in 2023 are office consultations, hospital services, nursing facility services, home and residence services, and emergency room services. Changes to all settings contain the same key changes to the guidelines, which include history and examination are no longer used to determine the level of service. While it is still necessary to document a medically appropriate history and examination, specific components are no longer required for coding purposes. Medically appropriate is determined by the provider. That means that the level of service is based solely on either medical decision-making or time. Note, time cannot be used for emergency room services, but in all other settings, the provider has the choice of which method to use. The requirements for time-based coding have also changed. Counseling no longer has to make up 50% of the visit to assign the service level using time. Time now includes all time spent personally by the physician on the date of the encounter. Now let's take a look at the changes specific to each code set. For office consultations, 99241 has been deleted. These services still require a request or referral for an opinion, and communication must be sent to the referring provider. Also note, Medicare does not recognize consultation services. Here are the medical decision-making and time requirements for the office consultations. Remember, either or may be used to justify the level of service. Hospital services have several specific changes. The observation codes have been deleted, and those services are now to be reported with the inpatient codes. When billing based on time, the time that can be counted is no longer floor time. It is now total time spent on the date of the encounter. The admit discharge same-day codes remain the same and still require an 8-hour stay in order to bill. Here are the medical decision-making and time requirements for initial inpatient or observation services. Again, either or may be used to justify the level of service. These codes are specific to the hospital admission and can be used for new or established patients. Here are the medical decision-making and time requirements for inpatient and observation subsequent services. Use these codes on the date of the discharge if you are not the discharging provider. Here are the medical decision-making and time requirements for the same-day admission and discharge codes. Again, the patient must be admitted for 8 hours in order to use these codes. Here are the time requirements for discharge services. These services are based strictly on time. Here are the medical decision-making and time requirements for the inpatient consultation codes. Once again, either may be used to justify the level of service. Note 99251 has been deleted. Nursing facility services have been combined to include both skilled and long-term care services. Initial nursing facility services may now be billed by a consultant as well as the admitting provider. Home or residence services have been combined with domiciliary and rest home care services, which have been deleted. For emergency room services, Code 99281 has been updated to may not require the presence of a physician. This is in parallel to the office visit code 99211. ER services are billed with medical decision-making only. Time cannot be used. Questions? Please feel free to send an email to practicemanagement@SCAI.org or check out our other resources on the practice management page of the SCAI website.